Polk. Be a part of the show by calling 915-544-KTSM, 915-544-5876, or comment online on our stream at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. It's 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it's time to talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thanks for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social pages we're on these days, including facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, and Twitch, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of different ways that we have that availability to make sure that redundancy, pretty good way to put that, I suppose. But either way, conversation is also a major point of it, which is also a super huge point of today, as we are going to be off on Christmas Eve tomorrow, this Christmas Eve, which isn't a thing, but I'll call it that anyway. We are doing our open line show for the week here. So those lines, calls, comments, all of that will be open throughout the hour here today. So that's why I already got the number up there on screen. You're free to call in with any subject within, well, mostly language choice reasons. Still got those FCC things, particularly if you're wanting to call in, but we'll take on any subject here. Just watch the language by calling 915-544-5876. 544 KTSM. We are on the cusp of the holiday here, so not a whole lot breaking, but, well, there's still plenty of going on, particularly that might affect us more here from some of the national conversations here. So all of that we will take on throughout the hour here today. I know we missed it out on it last week. It was a good thing to be gone for a little bit, but we'll be doing that here for the next 2 weeks here, doing it on Thursday. So again, that number to do so, 915-544-5876. 544 KTSM. Some of the things on top of my mind today, anyway, are student loans not forgiveness being done by the Biden administration, an extension of the frozen status of federal student loans that is continuing on, which, at the 3 months extension anyway. So getting there, but particularly activists who were very interested in the idea of student loan forgiveness coming to this administration, almost more frustrated by it. One interesting thing that I'm looking at here, but another one is, so the Texas 23rd Congressional District is always an interesting one in my mind, and yeah, just the contentious nature of it, the huge space that is involved in it. It's the one that stretches from El Paso's Lower Valley, more of El Paso's Mission Valley than before when the new congressional maps go into place for this upcoming election. But more largely, it is one that has had a surprising amount of focus on it for an otherwise not that major of a district. I mean, we both have the current one in there, Tony Gonzalez, who has had a lot of his own important efforts. But one guy that I pay attention to is Will Hurd, the former holder of that seat, because, well, it was always an interesting positions that he took there. And I'm just seeing some indications that, he might be planning his comeback, so to speak. He wasn't actually defeated from that position. He announced his retirement from it, which was an interesting choice to be made. He wasn't exactly like a end of a career politician. If he's angling to be an overall career politician, he's continually be coming out with see posts from his people, releases, that kind of thing, and just a little bit more activity coming up here. More specifically, apparently coming out with a book in the new year called American Reboot. So I've been seeing a little bit more about that. Latest statement out from his page is pragmatic idealism. Just quoting directly from it, America wants politicians to agree without being disagreeable. They don't expect politicians from across the aisle to always agree, but the country recognizes we have serious problems that need solving and want us to have a civil debate on what's best for the majority of our country while protecting the minorities' rights. They want us to take action, not just blame someone else for inaction. An interesting statement, and again, with the book coming out, I also see maybe a reboot of that attempt at a political career, so literally right in the backyard here. So that's why that's of interest to me, and coming out this statement from just a little bit earlier today, an interesting one that leads me to wonder if the 23rd is up for in contention. Obviously not for this coming one, because I do not believe he's on the ballot here. Even at the same time, here in El Paso, earlier today, we did have the ballot place choice going on for the Republican side of the ballot. Democrat happened one, I believe, while we were out of town and had our placement shows in. So those challenges definitely getting solidified. Very interested to see how these ballots have worked out once we get to it, probably a little bit closer or early in the new year, to be honest. But as I said, this is the show where we take those calls throughout the hour. So that number to do so is 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. You have a call on the line right now. You're live with Talk El Paso. Who's this?
Yeah, this is Andrew from the West Side.
Hey there, Andrew. What's on your mind?
Yes, two things I wanted to discuss. This Build Back Better that stalled in Congress, I believe, until after the holidays. I just want to reiterate that way people are aware of. Remember, 85,000 IRS employees. That is 85,000 new IRS employees. That's going to be added to the federal workforce. Okay, you can imagine what that's going to do, and how much more power that gives to the IRS. And number two, one of the things that Raul mentioned a week or two ago was there's a lot of crazy people out there with guns. Well, I can agree with him on one point. We left about 600 to 800,000 weapons in Afghanistan, and believe me, a lot of crazy people are going to have guns in their hands thanks to this administration. But anyway, you all have a good holiday, and you all take care.
You too as well. Important points there. Merry Christmas to you as well, and a Happy New Year if we don't check in with you before then. I mean, the whole Afghanistan situation, it has absolutely fallen off the top of the radar for a lot of people, because bated breath might be the best way to put it, wondering what the heck is going to come out there next. I mean, the current situation last my check-in here a little bit earlier this week was that there's a pending humanitarian crisis going on within that country, not even related to that particular pointed issue, but of the fact that they're near collapse, like 90% poverty rate if there isn't some major intervention or release of funds, which would go primarily to the Taliban. So that's a little bit of a thorny issue there. One I'm deeply uncomfortable with at the very least. But so it's becoming its own other quagmire, as opposed to an active awful area. It's just one that is going to become the breeding ground for it to be coming out of it. Yeah, just so much fun with that. But I don't think anyone is particularly in favor of increasing the workforce of the IRS. I find myself wondering why. Yeah, that's a coherent question that I'm going to go with here, particularly as it comes to the whole idea about tracking bank accounts and all that mess. Work smarter, not harder. They'll maybe not even want that from them, to be perfectly honest. But to the first point that you mentioned there about the gun owners in general, I've long thought that this whole conversation that goes on with, your guns are just killing machines and any gun is a danger and anyone who owns them is a danger. Look, given that there have been, like tens of millions of dollars of gun sales just these past couple of years, never mind the fact of the amount of people out there that just have, a safe, hopefully a safe. Get locked up is a good idea, but I mean, just do what's reasonable and, good management of your firearms. But if they really were a problem, the literal millions of gun owners and the literal millions of these scary black rifles that get talked about there, if those were a problem, just poised to kill and doing it on a regular basis, you'd know it. Like, come on. To say that, just the existence of it is a danger to you and everyone around you. Yeah, there's a conversation to be had about depression and suicide, and that should happen in due course of order. But my non-scientific hypothesis is that the real problems that you got going on here with all of that, and I do mean all of that, because every time it seems to come up, there's one current that runs through it that I've been noticing anyway. It's that it's either was a newly acquired or newly stolen. Illicitly acquired, I guess, for a more broad category for when these firearms come into place and into play. Because it's not the guy sitting on a safe full of something and that takes it to the range once, twice a year kind of thing, and otherwise just likes the idea of having them. That's the problem here. swear I'm not describing myself too much with all of that, but still, if they were the problem, those, Save Queen owners and the ones that never go get training or anything, you would know it. It would be literal massacres in the streets, not even just in the way that we talk about them currently, but like genocidal levels. So I both laugh and then cringe and then cry a little bit and then go back to one of those emotions whenever this conversation comes up, because there is so much dogma, so much perception, so much preconceived notions that end up coming to it that just don't bear out in reality. And I find myself increasingly frustrated with. But we are due for that first break here right now. We are doing that whole open line show thing for the week, as we are joined by John Broughton, Kevin Williams, Leroy Chuck over on the social pages, and got more calls coming up in the line. So stay tuned, doing that throughout the hour. 915-544-5876, 544 KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio. If you are hitting the streets, good luck and Godspeed for that last-minute holiday shopping. Let me give you something that's a little bit simpler for you. Way to get something delicious, local, and frankly good for you. And I got a bottle of it here right with me right now, and that is Clever Tea, Klevrtea, as in the stuff that you drink, locally produced and good to boot. They have a storefront out there at 230 North Copia, and are also out in the community. I believe they're going to be out at Cooking Time in Canutillo at the outlet shops for a while longer here this afternoon. And they can get you samples for you, get you to try it out, and particularly their original blend, the one that I grew to know and love, their Oolong Wise, which is a delicious blend of coconut, pineapple, hibiscus, eucalyptus, hawthorn berry, and cinnamon, is one that I do not quite daily, but dang sight close, because it gives me the benefits I need, such as boosting energy levels, reducing anxiety, promoting better focus, and strengthening some immunity to boot. All of that is stuff that I need. And if you want to find it out for yourself, again, find them at their store, 230 North Copia, or out at Cooking Time right about now, or find them online at clevertea.com. That's KLEVRTEA.com, and enter that code radio15 at checkout and help support local this holiday season. Clevertea.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Checking your El Paso traffic. All lanes are back open on the Loop 375 northbound at Vista del Sol from that earlier crash. Just north of there on Joe Battle Boulevard northbound at Montwood. An accident there with police still on the scene, and it's still seen slowing in that area. I-10 eastbound before Artcraft all the way down to Thorne, slow and go traffic. A couple of stalled vehicles blocking the right shoulder, I-10 westbound at Geronimo and I-10 westbound at Lee Trevino.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's. Right now at Wendy's, see why everyone is raving about their brand new fries. Natural cut, skin on with a hint of sea salt and guaranteed to be hot and crispy or they'll replace them. You know, the way fries should be. Try Wendy's guaranteed hot and crispy fries today at participating U.S. Wendy's.
It's a podcast about podcasts about podcasts.
Hello, and welcome to the Pod Club. I'm your host, Joe Piazza. Life is just too short to be listening to bad podcasts. Every week, we will bring you the latest and, dare I say, the greatest in podcast releases as we chat with some of the smartest and most talented folks in the business. You can listen to the Pod Club on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
There's no place like home for the holidays, except when you're stuck sleeping on the pull-out couch in the basement. This year, I'm resting my head at Red Roof in my own comfortable, affordable, and clean space. You know, you can save up to 20% this holiday season at Red Roof locations. Plus, pets stay free at Red Roof, so Fluffy can come along for the holiday fun. This holiday season, book your own space at redroof.com and save up to 20%.
The following message is sponsored by the National Commander of the Salvation Army. Join us to help hope march on this Christmas season.
I'm Commissioner Ken Hodder, National Commander of the Salvation Army. There is too much at stake right now for the people we serve for there to be any confusion about what the Salvation Army stands for. So let me be clear. We believe only in the Bible. We endorse no social theory or philosophy, and we never will. And we're not asking anyone to apologize for the color of their skin. We believe that all of us are made in God's image, and that He loves all of us equally, and that racism is totally incompatible with Christianity. We apologize for any confusion the Salvation Army has caused on this, but right now, there are lots of people who need our help. They need your help. So join us in meeting human needs in Christ's name without discrimination. Merry Christmas.
Always just minutes away from the latest news around town and around the world.
You need to know what's going on.
News Radio 690 KTSM. El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you personally, you specifically, for tuning in, however you may be doing so, on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social pages we're on these days, including Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. But that is not to say that we have neglected our on-air audience, and particularly today is the day we recognize that and your ability to chime in as we're taking those calls and comments throughout the hour. So that number to call is 915-544-5876, 544-KTSN. Right now, over on the social pages, John Brazelton, Calvin Williams, Leroy Chuck, joining in, tuning in, chiming in, which you are welcome to do so. Consider just kind of open invitation here today. Pressure release valve before the holidays here. And to that point, we will be on the air next week as well. Similar kind of schedule, Monday through Thursday, and doing the call-ins on Thursday as well. Just through the new year, and some announcements coming next week as well that I will continue to tease about. But John Brazelton, as we do take all subjects on today, saying the NYAG declined to prosecute Cuomo. If it had been Trump, there would have been hundreds of charges. I'm not saying necessarily that you're wrong, but I'm just saying I'm not surprised. Like I would expect the vice versa in Texas. I mean, it is what it is. Launch Cuomo into the sun for all I care, because both of them, for that matter. Anyway, get to those calls on the line here. Again, that number to do so, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. We do have Jerry in the Northwest here with us right now. Jerry, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, Andrew, taking our call.
Absolutely.
Andrew, I want to discuss the thing with the electric cars going.
Oh, sure.
This was in conjunction with the Build Back Better plan that they were doing. They were going to fund a lot of places to plug in your cars, electric cars. But when they're doing that, they're trying to get rid of petroleum energy, the hydrocarbon energy. And there's other ways, if they want to clean up the environment, and if that's their goal, there's other ways of doing it. One of them is hydrogen. And it is a cleaner burning fuel than natural gas. But when you say hydrogen, everybody thinks the Hindenburg.
Yep, I'll agree with you on that.
Atomic bomb. And that's not how it works. I can build a hydrogen unit that's hydrogen on demand that can be burnt in an internal combustion engine or have it run an electrical vehicle. But they want the control of it, because with energy and cheap energy, which we have abundance of in the United States, in natural gas and coal and oil, they want to get rid of that so that they can control more of our lives. Example, they can set speed limits on the highways and then regulate, especially with 5G, of how fast you can drive. If it's 60, says 60 in that speed zone, you will not be able to go past 60 miles per hour. And I understand that can be related to safety, but that's taking part of your freedoms away.
But yeah, it makes me uncomfortable at best. Yeah, I'll agree with you on that particular point. I mean, hydrogen, it was kind of funny. Someone said yesterday during the interview that what happens in an electric vehicle, blows up into your garage. And yeah, that's a possibility. It's also absolutely a possibility with current vehicles. So the risk isn't much different there. And when properly built, hydrogen could do a similar thing. I think probably another good thing to think about hydrogen would be as backups, because as we're looking at the whole revamp of the grid and what that's going to take for an electric vehicle revolution, whether being fueled itself or by, through your wall plug, backups are going to have to be there, and the battery systems just aren't there. And given that you can literally extract hydrogen from a water source, and there's almost no major metropolitan area within this country, even ourselves, that doesn't have access to a sufficient amount of water of some kind that you could extract hydrogen from, it lends questions about how this might be able to work. Now, of course, being here in Texas, and with particularly in our region, the amount of pipelines that are coming through here probably wouldn't be too much of an issue. But still, I think you're correct that there are other possibilities that should be looked at, but you also can read the weather like I can and see that there's a trajectory we seem to be on. And, well, these discussions are important in the meantime anyway.
Yes, and we need to discuss that before people are making decisions out there, because they're going to put a lot of people out of business. It doesn't not just going to be the guy that works in the oil field or the driller or that. It's going to be your corner store that helps sell the gasoline.
Mm-hmm.
And that stays open 24 hours, and when you need to go fill up on gasoline, they're there for you. And you're going to put a lot of people out of business like that. And mechanics.
Oh, yeah. Particularly on that point, as was brought up yesterday, I mean, there obviously will need to be some ability to do that, but the concerning factor, and this has been going on for farmers for years in particular, is that the whole DRM situation, digital rights management, basically the electronic components of these vehicles, that has made it so that you can't actually repair something without essentially having a license to do so. And some major manufacturers, not going to name any particular names, but think tractors, probably think of the right one, have been basically making it so that there is no ability to repair. You have to bring it to them to be able to interact with the software enough to be able to affect the repair, which has led to some farmers, I mean, people from where I went to college in the Midwest, literally searching and scouring to find basically pre-computer tractors out there, because they may not be the most efficient, but at least they can actually repair them. So that's a current that I'm really going to be concerned when the whole self-driving revolution that I can see barreling towards us is going to come around, because I'm going to be just super uncomfortable with that. But maybe not my lifetime, but I'm going to keep my internal combustion engine as long as I can, and I'll go to hydrogen before they stop me. Well, and the distributed production of hydrogen, again, is a strong possibility. We'll see what happens in the future. This is real cloudy crystal ball time, but, thank you for those points. I do appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too as well, and Merry Christmas to you and yours.
Merry Christmas to you too, sir.
I appreciate it. You have a good one there. I mean, these are part of the reasons why there are some out there that just refuse to get the point. When we do the interviews that we do, we seek to understand and then have this discussion, because we want a base level of okay, the people that are involved in making these decisions, the movers and shakers, and, utilities being a very important part of it, what are they even considering going forward? And then we can have the debate and discussion about the merits of such and what it's actually going to mean. And that's what we'll be doing here today. We let that one go a little bit long, already up on the need for another break here, but we also got more calls and conversation going on the social pages. So again, that number to call is 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Get some more of the comments going on the pages, more of the calls on the line here. All that, just another minute here on Talk El Paso. It is our open line show for the week, not free for all Friday, but you know what it is. Back after this break here with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690. With all of the heavy subjects that we discuss, it's important to have a little bit of peace of mind for yourself, either in general or just knowing what to do for those contingency kind of situations that you run into. The stuff that you can't, and really, if you could plan it into your day, you'd work to avoid it. But when it happens, particularly those minor medical emergencies, those aches, sprains, bruises, breaks, heaven forbid, particularly during the holiday season, you want to get back on your track as soon as you can. And so what I trust for that kind of a circumstance is Upper Valley Urgent Care Center, 121 East Red Road. They have fast and friendly 5-star medical treatment. Dr. Carpenter and his team with 20 exam rooms. They're available for you, including during these holidays, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Able to handle what you need to, from those minor medical treatment all the way up to x-ray capabilities. And they are a VA authorized urgent care provider. So trust them, as I do with my family. Upper Valley Urgent Care Center.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
With your CBS 4 News update, I'm Amanda Guillen. A wastewater line that continues to spew millions of gallons of raw sewage into the Rio Grande every day is on track for repairs. El Paso Water now reports contractors are working around the clock to get done by the end of the month. Now, after that, the utility says it will undergo a testing and commissioning process to make sure it's ready to take on the full wastewater load. Meantime, a stormwater infrastructure project in East El Paso is now expected to wrap up early next year. El Paso Water says the summer monsoon is to blame for delaying that project. El Paso Water says the Sam Snead stormwater project was 90% complete when flash floods damaged the site back in June. Once the project is complete, El Paso Water says it will divert over 350,000 gallons of stormwater per minute from the neighborhood streets to the Pico Norte Pond. That has been your CBS 4 News Update. I'm Amanda Guillen.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
Checking your El Paso traffic. Injury accident, George Dieter northbound at Rojas. The backup is on George Dieter. EMS crew still on the scene there. I-10 westbound, it's slow and go from Rustler to Thorn. I-10 eastbound at East Lake. Watch out for a stalled vehicle blocking the right shoulder. Stay left to get by. And road construction's got it down to a single lane on Gateway Boulevard eastbound between Piedras and Paisano Drive. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, this is Chief Meteorologist Sandra Diaz. It's here. Christmas Eve is just tomorrow, and I'll tell you, it is hard to put these two words together. I'm talking about record heat and dust for the holidays. I know, but nonetheless, we live in the borderland, and we're talking about a dry, warm, windy holiday that will give way eventually next week to cooler temperatures, but unfortunately, the winds are here to stay.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's. Right now at Wendy's, see why everyone is raving about their brand new fries. Natural cut, skin on with a hint of sea salt and guaranteed to be hot and crispy or they'll replace them. You know, the way fries should be. Try Wendy's guaranteed hot and crispy fries today at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Hey, El Paso! Summit Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat will be open Sunday, December 26th at 9 a.m. for our biggest year-end sales event ever. During the final week of the year-end sales event at Summit Park Dodge, you'll get our lowest prices and exceptional trade-in values. Save thousands in interest with zero APR for 72 months on 2022 Ram trucks, Jeep Grand Cherokees, and Dodge Durango SUVs. Or no payments till March 2022. Upside down in your current car, truck, or SUV? We want it, even if you owe up to $10,000 more than it's worth. Get huge savings on a great selection of quality pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs with more arriving daily. All military personnel and all first responders receive an additional discount. Thank you for your service. Don't miss, I repeat, do not miss our biggest final year-end sales event ever at Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Where buying a car is still fun. Hurry, still ends January 3rd, 2022 at I-10 at Sunland Park Drive or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina El Paso Strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTNL. Zero APR is $13.89 per thousand finance on select vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined.
Talk El Paso, airing weekdays at 4 right here on News Radio 690 KTSM, focused on local businesses, local politics, local impacts of the day's news. Brought to you in part by Thrive 915 Food Fest. Join the conversation Monday through Friday at 4, and let's talk El Paso.
Panera believes in saying yes to the good things. Yes to chicken sausage and pepperoni. Yes to flavorful tomato sauce and rich cheeses. And yes to putting it all on a crispy flatbread. The new sausage and pepperoni flatbread. Order on the app today. Panera, live your yes. Restrictions apply. This report is sponsored by Panera.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Another thing you can do to take control of your health and be a smart, savvy, and informed consumer of health services, which is really what you are. You may think of yourself as a patient, but if you're not advocating for yourself, well, you could be in a lot better position. One way you can do that is by staying informed and tuning into the Medical Hackers with Dr. Sandeep Rao, board-certified vascular interventionalist with healthcare hacks to help you navigate our complex medical system. Hacks in the positive sense, the life hack kind of way in this sense, because if you don't know what you don't know, so get informed by tuning in again Saturdays at noon right here on News Radio 690 KTSM every week. Even submit your own questions ahead of future shows by emailing rao@medicalhackers.com. That's his last name, RAO, @medicalhackers.com, and find out insights on treatments for common medical problems right here on News Radio 690 KTSM, right after the El Paso History Radio Show, Saturdays at noon for the Medical Hackers with Dr. Sandeep Rao.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. We are doing that whole open line throughout the show thing today, in lieu of Thursday. We're calling this Talk Back Thursday, something like that. However you want to put it, that number is open, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Also, a lot of comments going on here, including Leroy Chuck, John Brazelton, Louis Pinato, Calvin Williams, and more chiming in. Thank you for doing so. Again, a lot of pages do that on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, and we'll take it all on as we do here. We also want to mention our show sponsors here. Talk El Paso, brought to you in part by M1EP Management Corporation. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, consider investing in real estate. M1EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. Check out their website, m1ep.com. That's m1ep.com to learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investment in real estate. Call certified property manager Mike Baca at 915-592-4549. That's 915-592-4549. Thank you to our sponsors. Please support them as they support us in our mission to have live local talk radio back here in the borderland, which I think we're doing a decent job of, but there's always more to talk about, and that's why we got those calls in the line. So again, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. If you want to call in, take on any subject here today through the rest of the show anyway, as we have been doing the whole time. Just remember to keep the language a little bit cleaner than you would say on the internet, because FCC is always watching me. Some of the comments I want to get to before we head back to the phone lines here. Leroy Chuck slightly disagreeing with our last caller, saying that they're trying to control the petroleum industry, not destroy it. I think a cutback it's frankly inevitable. Even before, we've been talking a lot about the real advent of major market electric vehicles. I mean, it's been since the start of the Tesla Corporation, but I've just noticed even with my neighborhood that, there used to be, 2, even 3 gas stations on corners, and they've been kind of slowly dwindling, and that's been being nationally reported on. So I think there is a current, just even with fuel efficiency, things like that going on for a while, but any reasonable person planning like strategic energy needs for the future, particularly with the advent of hydraulic fracturing, also known as fracking, would be foolish to ignore it. One point that was brought up by a caller yesterday that I forgot to address there is that there actually is some export of natural gas that happens right through our area. There was a few years back a bit of a kerfuffle over a pipeline that was going down through the Mission Trail area, I think Socorro San Eli area specifically, and that was mainly a pipe intended to then connect into Mexico to see some export there. So that is a thing that has been going on with our region, but to a larger extent, given that all the stuff that is already going on with the production of it, I would expect it might go into like a backup kind of thing. That was even talked about when we had the CEO of El Paso Electric on yesterday, about how even if you're investing in renewables, when things go wrong, weather, etc., you're still going to have some capability, etc. here. Leroy Truck further saying that EVs, electric vehicles, would restrict where you go and how far you could go. That's already been an issue with them. The charging station closest to where I live, I've actually noticed over at I-10 and Artcraft, I think it's in the back of that Rudy's parking lot, near where they actually have the Tesla office building here in town. John Browson with a point. Electric vehicles may work well on both the east and left coasts, but if you live in the Midwest or and either farm or ranch, you need petroleum power. I also think ethanol could be a better distributed system, because right now it kind of has a problem of taking up as much, if not more, energy than it takes to produce, since it's so centralized. But like you got a corn farm out there, you're trying to produce, do something with all your stocks, and animal feed isn't required at the moment. Make that into something, but you will see. That's a whole other model that's really in place. Louis Pinato with a reasonable point, saying that it takes twice as much energy to break up hydrogen and oxygen from water than you would extract it to use from fuel. Not quite sure about the whole breakdown there, but to a larger extent, one of the problems and possibilities there is why I mentioned it being used for backup use. Because particularly with solar power, as was mentioned yesterday, peak time of usage in our area is around, dusk, when people start coming home, start using the power in their homes again after work. So that's when solar is either waning or out. But that means that if people have home solar panels, they're not really getting used at its peak. And so it's going into the grid, but not necessarily being used. So with all of the idea of renewables, storage has been an issue, and that's one potential there. That using it to literally create hydrogen during the peak production hours for things like that, and then storing it to then be used to then regenerate energy when needed. I mean, there's a whole lot of possibilities out there. We'll see. Honestly, what makes the most cost-effective sense is probably what's going to go into place. So, of course, tax credits can be a part of that here. All right, getting more of those calls on the line. That number is 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. We do have Barbara on the west side now with us. Barbara, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Andrew, for taking my call. I just want to make a couple of comments before you were off for the week. Raul called in regarding President Trump and, going in and fraudulently saying what the value of his properties were. Every bank has regulations that they need to follow. You can't walk into a bank and say, my property is worth such and such. I want to borrow money on it, and the bank's going to give it to you. It's not going to happen because the bank does due diligence.
Oh, yeah.
I was a commercial credit analyst at a bank here in El Paso. I know the rigorous work they do before they loan a penny, before a penny goes out that door. So his comments led us to believe that you can walk into any bank and ask for an amount of money and you're going to get it. That's not the case.
No.
And then on the electric vehicles, on the Build Better plan, one thing that no one's talking about is how it exempted religious schools. They were going to pay the child care to parents for the kids. They excluded anybody in a religious school, in a religious institution. That is just discrimination. Remember when Obama, there was a conflict there too, when they were giving monies to schools for their schoolyards, and they exempted religious institutions too. So that's just something they carry forward. And then on the electric vehicles in the Build Better plan.
Yeah, BBB, yeah.
Yeah, Build Better, yeah. They are giving tax credits, like you said, but if it's built by a union, it has to be union workers who built the vehicle. Well, Elon Musk is not union. And he built 87% of the electric vehicles that are presently on the road right now. So they're excluding him, and they're excluding a lot of people. I mean, and I don't know how they're going to determine if it was a union car or not. So that was a point of question that I had. How are they going to determine that? But that Build Better, everything in there, Texas is a right to work. Everything in there was union jobs. Every time the president got on TV, touting the plan, Build Better, Build Back Better, unions. That excludes a lot of work that we have out there for, workers. So I don't see, and all the charging stations were going to be built by union workers. So that Build Better plan, Build Back Better, was not an American plan. And then about these guns out there, Sinaloa and the DA in Denver just said that I don't know if I mentioned this before you went or I read this afterwards. The Sinaloa cartel in Denver had tons or thousands of rounds of ammunition, powered rifles, bulletproof vests, and the DEA said they were ready for war. And he said that this isn't going to stop until the president takes our border seriously. So yes, there are a lot of guns out there, but we need to understand that open borders isn't helping any of them either.
No, I think it's very valid points there. I mean, again, though, in the order of concern, I'm less worried about the guy who takes it out once a year and shoots it than I am about the enterprise you just discussed there. I mean, there's a whole lot to be done there. So thank you for the points and the call there. We're going to end up taking that next break right now. So coming back from the break, we got more calls online, more comments going around as well that we'll absolutely get to. So that number to do so, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Last segment coming up for the week, as we'll be off tomorrow, but we'll be back with new content and live shows next week. So stay tuned for more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690. Something that I think about during this holiday season is both enjoying the current one, but also what the future ones may look like. And for a lot of us, that may also end up meaning making sure that your health is up to par with it. And that's why locally based Therapeutics and Thermography Inc. inside Biometrics at 935 Sunland Park Drive with the big blue and white sign. That's why they have extended their offer for breast thermograms, their $50 off offer through the end of the year to make sure there are very many more Merry Christmases to come. You can give them a call at 915-401-4053. That's 915-401-4053, or find them online at elpasothermography.com. Again, it's a technique to help you detect things that are going on under the surface that you can't see with the naked eye, and even before other methods can detect them, particularly when it comes to breast cancer. Being aware of it ahead of time and before it gets too serious is a very important way to make sure that it can be dealt with appropriately. So again, the number to call them and claim your $50 off benefit through the end of the year for breast thermograms, 915-401-4053, or elpasothermography.com. That's El Paso, THERMOGRAPHY.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Checking your El Paso traffic. Got an injury accident Gateway eastbound in McRae that is blocking the right lane. Right lane's closed. Stay left to get by. You can avoid that accident by taking the earlier Hunter Viscount exit off of Gateway East. George Dieter, northbound at Rojas, an injury accident. Just got a report of an injury accident. Dyer, northbound at Hondo Pass. Medical is en route there. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Panera. Panera believes in saying yes to the good things. Yes to mac and cheese. Yes to topping it with cheesy Parmesan crisps. And yes to putting it all on a sandwich. The new grilled mac and cheese sandwich. Get $1 delivery when you order on the app. Panera. Live your yes. Restrictions apply.
In 1982, Melissa Tate identifies Rodney Lincoln as her mother's killer. Then in 2015, Melissa says Rodney didn't do it. On the Real Killer podcast, Leah Rothman reveals what may be a miscarriage of justice.
It was one of the most brutal crimes in St. Louis history. A single mother murdered. Her 2 young daughters barely survived the attack. I'm on a mission to find the real killer.
Listen to The Real Killer on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
There's no place like home for the holidays, except when you're stuck sleeping on the pull-out couch in the basement. This year, I'm resting my head at Red Roof in my own comfortable, affordable, and clean space. You know, you can save up to 20% this holiday season at Red Roof locations. Plus, pets stay free at Red Roof, so Fluffy can come along for the holiday fun. This holiday season, book your own space at redroof.com and save up to 20%.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider and are only available if the provider determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The outrageously expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And Hims makes it extra affordable. You pay just $30 for a month's supply. And right now, get your first online doctor's visit totally free. 4hims.com/radio. That's right. Free, zero copay, no expensive appointments, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. Hims connects you to doctors online who can evaluate you and, if appropriate, prescribe your ED medication. And a pharmacy sends it right to your door. Hims makes it affordable, private, and incredibly easy. Nobody likes dealing with ED. Now, thanks to Hims, nobody has to. And that's really good news. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Right now at Wendy's, see why everyone is raving about their brand new fries. Natural cut, skin on with a hint of sea salt and guaranteed to be hot and crispy or they'll replace them. You know, the way fries should be. Try Wendy's guaranteed hot and crispy fries today at participating U.S. Wendy's.
M1EP.com. Superior multifamily property management services citywide.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. This is coming up on the end of the last segment here for this week, as we are going to, again, be out of the office tomorrow. Replacement programming in place for the actual Christmas Eve. But we'll be back next week with more live programming. Similar schedule as New Year's Eve falls on that Friday as well. So we'll have the next call-in show throughout the hour on that Thursday as well. Talk Back Thursday, Talk About It Thursday, however you want to put it. We'll be here doing that kind of a thing. So, taking a couple more here before the end of the hour. That number to do so, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. A lot of stuff to talk about here. A real thread going on with electric vehicles and such, but a whole lot of stuff that affects us in the borderland. Probably next week going into some of the bigger interviews we've had over this past year as well, and big subjects, probably counting down to the biggest issues of this past year as well, as we get towards New Year's. Other ways you can interact with the show besides the comments that we going on with James Radcliffe, John Brazelton, Calvin Williams, Louis Pinato, Leroy Chuck, and more tuning in, chiming in there over on the social pages is also the pound 250 line. The pound 250 is how you do it. You dial that on your phone, all four of those symbols, pound 250. Say the keyword Talk El Paso when prompted. You can leave your own message for us, much like this.
This is Messiah Frankie. I don't have any great import to share with you today, other than to say, I hope all you conservative kook, insurrectionist-loving seditionists all get huge lumps of bituminous coal in your stockings. Having said that, I begrudgingly wish you a Merry Christmas. Goodbye.
Merry Christmas to you too, Frankie. And I gotta say, I don't think that you're going to have the effect that you want if you're giving out coal, if you're worried about the issues that go along with that. I'm just saying, not very climate conscious of you. Anyway, if you want to leave your own message again, not if you want to do that on a pound 250 keyword Talk El Paso. Some other conversation going on over on the social pages about the issues involved with, ethanol. And it's don't get me wrong, I was not advocating for ethanol to be everywhere. Just in certain, particularly in the localized area. James Radcliffe bringing up the problem that it makes it more expensive for farmers due to the increased cost of corn for the stock. Again, like small scale production makes a certain kind of sense to me, like, as opposed to next to the corn silos, maybe having a slight production facility for the ethanol for the own farm, even though, as John Brazelton brings up, don't have any rubber fuel lines you'll end up walking. I mean, it's got issues. So this is not a, panacea solution I'm talking about here, but as Leroy Chuck also points out, coal is a fossil fuel, Frankie. I mean, there's a lot of conversation going on about this, but Calvin Williams saying, I'm going to buy a gas generator to charge my electric vehicle while I drive around. And John Brazelton saying that that's a funny solution here. It's less a joke than you might think. I've literally seen people posting their plans online for doing such a thing, and people who have done so in videos. Like, it's more real than you think. Anyway, get to the last couple calls on the line here for this hour, for this week. We are joined right now by Tony on the west side with us. Tony, thanks for joining us.
Hey, good afternoon. Hey, Frankie Messia. You know what I do when you come on? I turn down the volume, and I think other people do too. You know why? Because nobody likes to be yelled at by a nutcase, okay? All you do is yell. You really turn people off, but whatever. But what I want to talk about today is that we are chasing rabbits. Barbara's a nice person, but she still thinks she can deal with the left through logic and reason. They don't want us to prosper. We got too big a carbon footprint. We can't get any bigger. We're wasteful. We're not fair, we're founded wrong, all that stuff. So you guys still don't get it. Remember Rush Limbaugh, the reason Rush Limbaugh was successful is because he hit the axe at the root of their idols. You gotta destroy their idols if you want to defeat the left. Their idols are social justice, saving the earth, and economic equality. That's where they worship. But they don't care about you and your gas prices and all that stuff. They could care less. They want you to go back to living bring down your cost of living and all that, because again, your carbon footprint is the enemy. Now, having said that, you know what Mayor Leeser and then these Joe Schwartzbein and all these people who are getting fat on our tax dollar, these city council people and the county judges and those people who are smart enough to trick us into giving them money for nothing. You know what they do every day when they listen to this radio program? They laugh. And you know why they laugh? All the way to the bank, they laugh. Because here we are chasing rabbits, talking about national issues that we can do very little about. Instead of calling out Peter Schwartzbein, I challenge you to come on this radio show and defend your what is it, your platform or your administration or whatever the heck you do. I challenge you to come out here and answer some tough questions, because from where I'm standing, you're just a liability to us, okay? You do nothing but cost us money through taxes and spending. So all of you, the county judge, the mayor, I'm calling all of you out to come on this radio program and defend yourself, because I think you're a waste.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that. Just to point out here, we have had Peter Svarsbein on the program previously, and particularly in defending when he came out with a stance against actions by city council and so in support of his own issues. So I'm not saying that we don't always focus on that, particularly here on Fridays when we have kind of a pressure release valve, or Thursdays, but usually Fridays, when we have this kind of discussion about all the issues that people may be very top of mind. And even though we talk, on days like this about national issues, it's always in the lens, in my mind, about what that would mean here locally. I mean, that's kind of the whole purpose of this show, is whatever is going on, the major issues, how does it affect us here? So, I take the fair point of wanting to have a local focus, but that's kind of what we do and what we have done, and we'll continue to do so. So I think we have time for one more here. We do have Anthony on the east side here right now. Anthony, thanks for joining us.
Sure. Good afternoon. I'd just like to clarify a point. I hear too often commentators say, we're deeply divided between pro-immigration and anti-immigration. And I want to clarify that I'm on the right, and everybody I know on the right is pro-immigration. Now, the left will turn a spin on it and say we're against immigration, but what we are against is criminal activity coming across the border. We are against drug lords having their way. Every time a Democrat president gets in office, drug lords just seem to have, I don't know if it's a bad word, but somewhat of a wet dream. They get what they want. They get to make all the money they want off of our life. Our society is going to hell with all the drugs that come across. And that's the first thing we need to clarify. The right is pro-immigration. The left is pro-criminal immigration, if you want to call it. And the other thing I want to mention is you've got two fantastic callers before me. The city is running over, doing whatever they want, spilling our money left and right, and then beating us with a 2x4 about raising our property taxes. And I've got 3 small rental houses, and I hate to do it, but 3 or 4 months of that goes straight to property taxes. So I got to raise the rent on who? On the people on the lower class. And so they're the ones that end up paying the front of their expenses. I appreciate it. That's it. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you very much. And it's always a Merry Christmas to you as well. All right. We'll have to leave it there here for this week as we are out of time, but we'll do good next week, 4 to 5 p.m. right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Out of the office for Christmas Eve tomorrow, but back on Monday with new shows, more discussion about the things that affect us here in the borderland. So, in the meantime, have a very Merry Christmas. Be safe when out there on the roads, and look twice for motorcycles when you're in transit. Otherwise, talk to y'all next week. Have a good one. Back with another Medicare moment, we have Eric with Advocate Health Advisors. If a veteran has original Medicare only, why would they want a Medicare Advantage plan?
Well, firstly, any Medicare Advantage plan is required to have everything that original Medicare offers. Additional benefits are offered throughout most plans, including, but not limited to, things like dental, hearing, transportation, gym memberships, and over-the-counter benefits, just to name a few. Now, additionally, with original Medicare, there's no cap on the 20% of the bill that veteran would be responsible for. Every Advantage plan comes with a maximum out-of-pocket, after which the plan picks up 100% of the cost for that veteran.
For more detail on this and info on that, you can call Eric, your local advisor, wherever you're hearing this broadcast, at 1-800-876-0214. That's 1-800-876-0214.
Traffic all day. News Radio 6.